The wind blew across the burned ground of Lyra-9. Floated in the air. Smoke rose from broken walls and shattered steel. Human and alien bodies lay still in the dust, forgotten. High above, enemy drones circled like vultures. It had been quiet. For 3 days, too quiet. And then, someone appeared. She walked alone. A young human girl. Maybe 17, maybe younger. Barefoot. No armor. No gun. No helmet. Just a dirty gray cloak and long black hair, tied behind her head. Behind her, she pulled something. It dragged across the dirt with a low, heavy sound like metal being pulled through bone. Wrapped in canvas, tied with rope. It was large, almost. Her size. She didn't look back. She didn't rush. She just walked. From the edge of the alien camp. Scouts noticed her. Movement on the ridge. One soldier said. The alien commander, General Throvik, narrowed his 4 eyes. Another human scavenger? She's not armed. She's pulling something, another said. General Throvik stepped forward. Send 2 soldiers. I want her captured. We'll see what game this is. The girl reached the checkpoint. Fence. 10 alien rifles pointed at her. Red lasers traced her body. Drones hovered above. Still, she did not stop. Human, barked one of the guards. Identify yourself. She didn't answer. Stop moving. Still, no words. One alien walked forward and reached for the canvas-covered object behind her. That's when she finally spoke. 4 calm words. I wouldn't do that. The guard paused. Why not? She looked at him cold, quiet eyes, and said nothing. The scanners clicked. One of the drones scanned the object. Sir, the drone operator said to General Throvik. There's an energy signature. It's human tech, old, pre-evac era. Is it a weapon? No active signal. It's dead or silent. Bring her in. The guards circled her. She didn't resist. She walked with them, still dragging the object behind her. The noise it made, metal grinding on ground, followed like a whisper of death. Inside the camp, human prisoners watched from cages. Wounded soldiers blinked at the sight of her. Some whispered. Some crossed themselves. That's... No. One man muttered, It can't be her. Another prisoner nodded slowly. It's her. I remember the eyes. A medic whispered, She's just a kid. The girl was taken into the command tent. Throvik stood over her, tall and armored in blue. What is your name? She said nothing. What are you carrying? Still no answer. Throvik slammed his clawed hand on the table. Speak, human. She didn't blink. She just stared. At him, calm, cold. He turned to his science officer. Open the package. The officer stepped forward with careful hands. As he began to untie the canvas, the girl spoke again. This time, her voice was softer, almost kind. I really wouldn't do that. The officer stopped. Why? Because I armed it, she said. And it doesn't like strangers. A silence. Spread in the tent. The general froze. That's not possible. The girl smiled. Just a little. It's old Earth tech, she said. Voice locked. Biometric sealed. Made for people like me. What is it? The science officer asked. Her. Answer came slowly. A cold star. Gasps. The science officer backed away. A cold star was code. A forgotten weapon from Earth's lost wars. A nuke, but built with a silent AI core. It didn't beep. It didn't glow. It just waited. And if triggered, it burned everything. Throvik's voice cracked. That model was banned. No one uses those anymore. Earth did, she said. For moments like this. The general turned pale. What do you want? She looked at him. The tent fell quiet. I want them to remember, she said. I want them to know. Humans don't forget. He stared at her for a long moment. You're bluffing. She didn't respond. She simply sat down on the floor, next to the wrapped Nuke. Like it was a friend. Scene ends with suspense line. Outside, the wind blew harder. But inside the tent, no one dared to breathe. Because the unarmed girl had brought something far more dangerous than any weapon. She brought history. The command tent felt like a tomb. No one moved. No one spoke. The girl sat on the floor, her back straight, her eyes calm. Beside her, the wrapped object rested silently. Even the air seemed heavy, like it could explode with one wrong breath. General, Throvik finally found his voice. You expect me to believe you dragged a nuclear bomb across the desert? She tilted her head slightly. No, I didn't drag it. Then what is it? He demanded. She ran her fingers slowly across the canvas cover. It followed me. That answer made no sense to the soldiers in the room. They looked at one another, confused. One alien, younger than the rest, stepped closer and asked carefully, What do you mean? It followed you. The girl turned her head slowly toward him. Her voice was soft, but sharp like ice. It knows me. It responds to me. And if I die, it finishes what I started. A pause. Then she added, So be careful. The general was shaking with anger now. You're bluffing. You're just a child with a big story. She didn't argue. She just pulled a small, square device from her coat and placed it in her lap. It looked old, worn down and scratched, but it blinked once, then glowed faint blue. Do you know what this is? She asked. The science officer leaned forward. His face went pale. That's a cold link key, he whispered. From Earth's Shadow Division. Throvik's voice dropped. Shadow Division? That's myth. Ghosts and war stories. The girl nodded. That's what you all thought. But Earth doesn't forget its ghosts. We just hide them well. The general stood tall. If this is a threat, know that we are not afraid. We could kill you right now. Yes, she said calmly. And then the nuke finishes the job. They all froze again. The science officer moved to the console at the back of the tent. He ran scans on the object. The screen showed a pulse, silent but steady. It's armed, he said quietly. But there's no countdown. It's in listening mode. Listening for what? Throvik growled. The girl gave a quiet smile. For me. Outside, alien soldiers gathered around the tent. News was spreading fast. Prisoners whispered in their cages. The humans inside looked up with hope, tiny, flickering hope that hadn't been there in days. In the prisoner zone, a young soldier named Kyle leaned toward an older officer. Is it her? Kyle asked. The one they called Ember? The officer nodded slowly. She shouldn't even exist. She was just a kid when the bombings happened. They said she disappeared after her family died. Kyle whispered. And now she's back. With the cold star. Back inside the tent, Throvik stepped closer to her. What do you want, human? The girl looked up. Her eyes were not cruel, not angry, just tired. Like someone who had seen too much and lost too much. I want the prisoners freed, she said. All of them. Now, the general laughed. You think we'll just let them go because of your toy? She stood slowly. Her voice didn't rise, but it shook the walls. It's not a toy. It's justice. The science officer interrupted, voice shaking. General, I believe her. Throvik turned in rage. You coward. No, sir, the officer replied. Just not suicidal. That device is real. And if it is tied to her biosigns, we can't disarm it. Only she can. The general stared. At the girl again. She stared back, calm as stone. He growled. You won't get away with this. She replied, I didn't come to get away. I came to be remembered. Then she sat back down. The general left the tent, furious, ordering his guards to stay alert. Do not touch her. Do not touch the device. If she moves, tell me immediately. Inside, the girl whispered to the cold star beside her. I told you we'd come back, didn't I? And in the silence, the nuke gave off a soft pulse one the machines couldn't detect, but she could feel. Like a heartbeat, the sun dipped low over the dusty sky of Lyra 9. Long shadows stretched across the alien outpost. The girl sat still, her back resting gently against the cold star. She had not eaten. She had not slept. She didn't ask for water. She only waited. Inside the camp, rumors moved faster than commands. Every soldier had heard the same story. A human girl had walked into their war zone. With a nuke tied to her wrist. No one dared touch her now. In a dark cell nearby, young human. Soldier Kyle sat beside the cage bars, whispering to the old commander beside him. She's just a girl. Why are they so scared? The old man coughed, then said softly, because she's not just a girl. She's Ember. Kyle blinked. That's a Cody name? The commander nodded. No one knows her real name. But after the evac, Earth built 10 cold stars. Only one was never used. They said it was carried off by a ghost. A ghost? A child, the commander said. One whose family was killed in the first wave of alien strikes. Her father was a cold star tech. Her mother, a field medic. The girl disappeared after the blast that took their town. Kyle frowned. And now she's back? The commander nodded, dragging Justice behind her. In the command tent, General Throvek watched the girl from a screen. He slammed his fist into the table. This is nonsense. She cannot do this. Alone, his advisor stepped forward carefully. Sir, the troops are nervous. Morale is cracking. Over a child? Over a symbol, the advisor corrected. She carries Earth's fire and its silence. That combination terrifies them, Throvek growled. Then break the silence. He walked out of the tent, stood in front of her, and spoke directly. What do we call you? The girl didn't. Look up, she whispered softly. You don't, he frowned. What does that mean? She stared at the sand. Names are for people who can go home. I have no home left. He stepped closer. Then you are nobody. She nodded once. Exactly. The soldiers nearby shifted, uncomfortable. One of them whispered, that's why they call her the girl with no name. Later that night, a young alien soldier brought her a bowl of water and some bread. She did not reach for it. She just stared at him. He knelt down, his hands shaking. I'm not here to hurt you. She stayed silent. He looked at the cold star. Beside her, is it real? Will it really explode? She finally met his eyes. Only if you make it. He looked down. Why are you doing this? Her voice was quiet but clear. Because no one else would. She paused, then said something strange. When you lose everything, you stop caring what the rules say. Flashback. Years ago, Ember stood in the ruins of her home. Her mother's blood still stained the medical tent. Her father's cold star storage case was cracked open. The people who should have protected them had fled. She heard the alien laughter from the skies as their ships left behind. A burning Earth zone. She was 10. She made a promise. I'll bring the war to them. And I won't need a gun. Back in the present, Ember watched the stars appear one by one. The night was cold, but she did not shiver. Inside the control room, the alien science officer pulled the latest scan. Sir, he whispered to Throvik, the cold star is alive. Not ticking, but listening. Just like she said, Throvik stared at the screen. The numbers didn't lie. The weapon was real. The girl wasn't bluffing. He whispered, who is she really? The answer came from the room's speaker Ember's voice, quiet but clear. "I'm the reminder." At sunrise, the gates opened. Alien soldiers formed 2 lines, silent, stiff, nervous. They watched her like she was already glowing with fire. And she walked between them, calm, barefoot, still pulling the wrapped cold star behind her like it was nothing but an old suitcase. The alien commander, General Throvek, had made a decision. "If she wants to walk into our base," he had said, "let her. If she lies, we kill her. If she speaks truth, we find out why." But deep inside, even he felt unsure. Because no one, not even the bravest soldier, wanted to be near that weapon. The main gates closed behind her. The outpost was huge towers of metal, force fields humming, command centers buzzing with alien tech. Inside the walls, hundreds of troops trained, marched, and operated heavy weapons. She was just one human girl. Yet every head turned when she passed. Some whispered, "That's her, the bomb girl." Others backed away, refusing to make eye contact. No one stopped her, because no one wanted to be the one who triggered it. She was taken into the central core, the most guarded room in the base. The cold star was placed beside her again. It never left her side. Even in this room, filled with screens and steel, the weapon looked ancient. One officer stepped forward, trembling. "Why bring this here? Why not just use it from far away?" She looked at him. "I didn't come to destroy," she said. "I came to give a choice." Throvik slammed a hand on the table. "You say this is a choice, but it smells like a threat." She didn't flinch. "That's because you've never seen the difference." The cold star gave off a faint pulse. No sound, no countdown, but the air felt heavier. Throvik turned to his tech crew. "Begin override." "I want control of the bomb." A scientist replied, pale and sweating. "We can't. It's locked to her biosignature." "Any tampering could activate it," Throvik growled. "What if we kill her?" The girl stood slowly and said, "Then it finishes what I started." He stared at her, searching for fear, but she didn't have any, just silence. A younger alien officer finally asked, "What do you want from us?" She walked to the center of the room and placed a small data drive on the table. "That," she said, "is a list of every human prisoner on this planet." The officers looked at it. "I want them freed, all of them, alive and well." The room went silent. "Impossible," one alien muttered. "Some are in deep transport zones. Some were transferred to the mines." She nodded. "Then bring them back." Throvik stepped forward. "You think you can blackmail a galactic command base with one girl and one ancient weapon?" She gave the smallest smile. "No," she said. "I think I already did." Flashback. She stood in an abandoned human bunker years ago. Her father's broken radio was humming. That's when she found the cold star casing hidden beneath the floorboards. A message was carved into the metal. "This bomb is not for revenge. It is for reminding them who we are." Back in the control room, the cold star gave another pulse. The scientists looked terrified. One whispered, "It's syncing with her heartbeat." Another said, "If she dies, it detonates." Throvik shouted, "Deactivate it. No one can." They shouted back. And in the middle of the room, the girl spoke one final line. "You have 12 hours. Free the prisoners, or this base becomes a memory." The base went into lockdown. Red lights flashed. Panic began to spread. She didn't leave the room. She sat down beside the seal. Cold star and closed her eyes. Waiting. Not for power, not for praise, just for justice. 12 hours. That's what she gave them. Not a second more. General Throvik stood at the center of the control room, sweat shining on his forehead despite the cold steel walls. Officers spoke in hushed tones. Technicians moved quickly between stations. Everyone's eyes kept returning to the girl sitting quietly in the corner beside the cold star. The weapon hadn't made a sound. No. Blinking light. No warning. But that was the problem. It was too quiet. The science officer whispered, "Sir, we still can't access it. The biometric lock is too old. Human tech from the lost era. It doesn't respond to anything." Throvik growled, "There has to be a way." "She is the way," the officer said, nodding at the girl. "She's the key. If she dies, we lose all control. Can we move it?" We tried. It didn't like being moved. The general stared through the glass wall, watching the girl. She wasn't panicking. She wasn't sweating. She was waiting. In her hand, she held a small gray box. The cold link. It pulsed once every few minutes, soft, blue, and slow, matching her heartbeat. Then, at the 6-hour mark, it blinked twice. The first officer noticed it. "Sir, did you see that?" "Yes. What does it mean?" The girl opened her eyes. "It means the countdown has started." Silence fell over the room. General Throvik stepped forward. "You didn't say you armed it." "I didn't," she said. "But it heard enough." "What do you mean?" She looked up at him. "It listens for truth. You lied." He clenched his fists. "Lied about what?" "You said you'd release the prisoners." She said, "But your troops moved them deeper into holding zones. You didn't listen. So now it won't either." The general cursed under his breath. One officer gasped, "She's right. We got a report command, rerouted the prisoners 5 minutes. Go." She stood now, cold link in hand. Her voice calm, but heavy with warning. "You don't have 12 hours anymore. You have 5. Panic spread like fire. Some alien officers begged the general, "Give her what she wants." Others shouted, "Shut it down." But no one moved near the cold star. No one dared. Because now it wasn't silent anymore. It pulsed, not once every 60 seconds. A soft hum, just enough to remind them it was real. Back in the prison blocks, word reached the humans. Kyle, still in his cage, whispered, "It started, hasn't it?" The old commander nodded. They never listened. Now they'll learn. Another human nearby muttered, "She warned them." Over and over. They thought she was weak. Kyle smiled. "She's not weak. She's the fuse." In the control room, the cold star began to glow faint red beneath its canvas. The tech officer cried out, "We're reading thermal buildup. It's beginning charge cycle." Throvik shouted, "She's bluffing. Shut it off. We can't." The girl walked to the center of the room, calm, silent, brave. She placed the cold link on the table. 3 commands left, she said. "If I press all 3, what happens?" A younger soldier asked. She looked at him. "You disappear." Throvik's voice broke. "Why would you do this? You'll die too." She nodded. "My parents did. So did my city." No one cried. "For us." Her hands trembled for a moment, but her eyes stayed firm. "I don't want death. I want memory." Flashback. Her father's voice echoed in her mind. "If the galaxy forgets who we are, remind them, even if it costs everything." Outside, alien dropships began to launch. Some officers were already fleeing. The general screamed, "Cowards!" But no one listened. Because no one wanted to be caught in the blast radius of a forgotten ghost. The cold star's pulse sped up. Now, every 30 seconds, the hum was louder, a rhythm of fear. She gave one last offer. "Release them now," she said, "or I count to 3. Throvik stared at her. Then at the cold star. He turned to the wall screen and yelled, "Open the cages." The command center was no longer in control. Red warning lights flashed across the base. Sirens wailed in the distance. The cold star's soft hum echoed through every speaker, low, steady, terrifying dot every 30 seconds. A pulse every 30 seconds, a reminder. The girl stood in the center of the room, calm as always. Her eyes moved slowly across the panicked faces of aliens in uniforms. Officers barked orders. Techs cried over failing systems. Troops argued about evacuating, but no one touched the cold star. General Throvek stood frozen. He had just given the command. All human prisoners, release them. An officer rushed back to him. Sir, the order's been confirmed. They're opening the cages. The girl didn't smile. She didn't move. She simply said, that was step 1. The general blinked. There's more? She raised her hand slowly, 3 fingers in the air. You have 3 options, she said. Option 1, release the humans. You just did. Option 2, leave Earth space forever. Option 3, disarm your remaining weapons across this system. The room fell into stunned silence. A tech officer whispered, that's impossible. She lowered 1 finger. 2 left. Throvik shouted, you have no right to make demands like this. She turned to him slowly. I'm not making demands. I'm offering choices. He stepped forward, fists clenched. Why should we listen? To a girl with a bomb? She looked at him, her voice soft but firm. Because I'm not just a girl. I'm the voice of everyone you forgot, everyone you took, everyone you buried. A moment of silence passed. Then she added, I didn't come to destroy. I came to end what you started. Flashback. She was 13 when she found the old message hidden in her father's cold star logs. These weapons are not built for attack. They're built for decisions. To make tyrants choose between fear or peace. That's when she knew what she had to become. Not a killer, not a soldier, a mirror. Back in the base, the second finger dropped. 1 left, she said. Throvek was sweating now. An alien officer beside him shouted, we need to pull back. This isn't just about Earth anymore. If that bomb explodes, it could break 3 moons. She's bluffing. Throvik shouted. The cold star pulsed louder now, every 20 seconds. 1 tech screamed, it's moving toward active state. Another cried, core heat rising. We can't stop it. The girl placed the cold link back on the table. You have 1 last choice, she said, voice calm. Disarm your warships. All of them. If we do, the general said, we're vulnerable. If you don't, she said, you're ash. In the prison zones, Kyle helped another human up. The cages were open now. The humans stepped outside, shocked. A transport pilot ran to the coms. They're actually letting us go. The old commander stared at the sky. No, he said softly. She's letting us go. Inside the base, Throvik's hands shook. He turned to his officers. Prepare evacuation. Get off-world units ready. 1 brave tech asked, what about the weapon? Throvik said nothing. The girl looked him in the eyes and said, I don't want you dead. I want you to remember what it felt like to be powerless. He lowered his head. Stand down the fleet, he said. The final pulse stopped. The cold star went silent. No hum. No sound. No red light. The countdown had ended. She picked up the cold link, placed it back inside her coat, and stepped toward the door. I'll be gone in 1 hour, she said. If any human dies before then, I leave the bomb. No one followed her. No one dared. She walked back through the base, silent. Soldiers stood aside. When she passed through the gates, the prisoners were already loading onto dropships. The other humans stared at her as she walked past, quiet, stunned, respectful. Kyle whispered, she's not just a girl. She's a message, the old commander replied. The skies above Lyra 9 were quiet. Again. No more alarms. No more shouts. No more lies. The humans, once prisoners, now freeloaded onto stolen transport ships. Engineers worked fast, repairing old systems. Medics helped the weak. Children held their parents again. Friends who thought they were dead now held hands in tears. But even in that happiness, everyone kept glancing back toward the center of the alien base. Back toward her. The girl stood alone on the platform where it all began. The cold star sat beside her, still silent, still deadly. She had not left yet. She had given them 1 hour to keep their promise. Now, the last 10 minutes ticked away. She held the cold link in her hand again. Her fingers ran across its edge. Her face was calm, but her eyes, deep brown and unblinking, were watching everything. General Throvek stood behind the safety glass in the control tower. He watched her with a heavy heart. His fleet was gone, his weapons disarmed, his reputation broken. But he was alive, and so were his men. He asked the question again, not out loud, but deep inside. Why didn't she destroy us? Flashback. She sat in her father's old lab, dusty and dark. She found a message buried in old Earth files. A message Earth never sent. To those who take without asking. To those who conquer and silence. You will not hear our anger. You will hear our absence. And that silence will be louder than any war. She never forgot those words. Back in the present, a human officer ran toward her. Everyone's on board, he said. We're ready to leave. She nodded. You go first. What? About you? She looked at the cold star. I need to do one last thing. She walked into the base one final time alone. The aliens cleared the halls. Some saluted her out of fear. Others, out of respect. She entered the cold star chamber. Alone again with the bomb. And there, she pressed 3 buttons on the cold link. Lights blinked blue, green, gray. A soft voice echoed from the cold star. Shutdown confirmed. The lights faded. The cold star powered down. The weapon was no longer a threat. She sat beside it on the floor, her hand resting on its cold metal shell. You did well, she whispered. You scared them just enough. An alien child watched her from the hallway, small, blue-skinned with wide, green eyes. He stepped closer, shaking. She looked at him and smiled gently. Don't be afraid. He stared at her. You had a bomb, he whispered. She nodded. Yes, but you didn't use it. No, she said. Because if I did, you'd never ask this question. She stood, walked past the child, and exited the base. A human pilot waited at the ramp. You ready? He asked. She looked back at the base one last time. Yes, let's go. As her ship rose into the air, the alien soldiers below watched in silence. General Throvik gave the smallest nod. And in that moment, he understood. She didn't win by destroying them. She won by giving them a chance to live with what they had done. Later, in the far reaches of space, a simple message was recorded in Earth's history logs. The cold star was never fired, because the real weapon was choice, and she gave them one. They never even recorded her real name. Just a Cody name passed between stars. Ember. A girl who reminded the galaxy what it meant to be human.